Yes, all right. Enough of that already. Well and truly, welcome one and all to the show. Glad you could join us for today's Q&A session. I'll be flying solo today, as you can tell. Her Majesty, Pim Queen of the Pirates, is unable to make this session, and as such, it's just yours truly, this bad bald man, and His Eminence Lord Edward of the Yellow, who is behind the scenes, twiddling all the knobs, twiddling all my knobs. Aren't you, Ted?
What, are you retarded?
Ted starts off the way he means to continue. He can't be controlled, can't Ted? That's why he doesn't get much of a say on the show these days. Plus, his appearance fee is rather higher than it ought to be, frankly, for an entertainer of his standing. He is, however, a giant in the entertainment industry, and as such, his pronouns are fee, fi, fo, and fum, so you will refer to him as such, staff, should you be in need of referring to Lord Edward Yellow. And yes, right, let's crack on with the show. That's enough preamble, waiting for people to roll in. You'll notice on your way in the door that Master Chief Burgess was standing there taking names of latecomers for latrine duty, it turns out, as well as dusters duties. After class, good to see you, Master Chief Burgess. Nice of you to drop in. In other words, where the fuck have you been, son? Goodness me. A couple of times I did not see you at the camouflage training of late. All sorts of excuses, I'm sure, none of which, of course, we accept here in the Meat Militia, because that's not what we do here in the Meat Militia, is it? Accept excuses? No, what we do is we overcome very, very bad ideas with much, much better ones, don't we? Yes, we do. All right, let's crack on with the show. Yes, the news this week is that Ray Peat, Dr. Ray Peat, has apparently reportedly passed away. The news has been a bit slow coming through for whatever reason. It's none of my business, why it would be so slow coming through, but it has been. Apparently, Dr. Peat passed away on Thanksgiving, and we're just hearing about it in the last day or so, some of us. So there you go. For those that don't know, Ray Peat was, I should say, a promoter of a certain methodology, I guess, or of dietary intervention, health intervention, a thinker on biochemistry, bioenergetics, etc. Not a man with whom we here on the channel agreed. It has to be said, we did not agree with Ray Peat. We do not agree with Ray Peat's legacy, his ideas around bioenergetics and all of that kind of stuff. There is another generation of folks who will be now ever more shrilly, I guess, putting forward Ray Peat's ideas out there. Ray Peat's ideas focused around a vast, huge abuse of unnecessary, contraindicated, exogenous carbohydrate in the diet for all the wrong reasons. And there aren't any right reasons for carbohydrate in the diet. Let's be clear about that now. Also, the avoidance of certain forms of fat, the very form that we are actually designed as a species to do well on and to live well on. Some crazy ideas, frankly, inane ideas around carbon dioxide. Anyway, nonetheless, the fact that we disagree heartily with pretty much everything Ray Peat had to say, at least that which we could understand, because he was, in the latter part of his life, almost entirely incomprehensible, verbally, anyway. Despite that, we acknowledge the passing of the man, and we do the usual, and we say rest in peace. Ray Peat was 86. Right, so let's move on with Q&A. Basically, Q&A, you should know the drill by now. You put a large Q in front of your question with a colon, and then you write a question, and you suffix that with a question mark. That makes it very easy for Yellow Ted to find the question for us. and to put it up on the screen. And then we'll deal with your questions as they come in. And in the meantime, we'll see what's happening in the chat prior to the flow of questions, which I'm sure will roll in from now. Yes, well said there, General Lucas of the Meat Militia, Luke Gear. Rest in peace, old fella. But yes, we really did not agree with anything you had to say, and we will continue to disagree wholeheartedly with everything you had to say. But there we go. Good. All right. Good evening to Berico. Yes, good evening to you indeed. It's been a long time. It's been a week and a half or so since I was last online. I am taking a bit of a break at this stage. I did get a little bit fatigued with the whole thing. I was working many, many hours a week doing a lot of work for moderate return, really, is what it is. I'm not whinging about my life at all. That's not what I'm saying. But there is a lot of work that goes into what you get to see here on the YouTubes, folks. Any pre-recorded video that you see, if I do an hour-long Who's Wrong on the Interwebs video, for example, you can put it in the bank that I have spent probably 3 or 4 hours at least producing that video. Of my own sweat and tears have gone into that before you get to see it. So if I was to post a daily Who's Wrong on Interwebs video on any given week, you can add those hours up. That's on top of my other income generating activities around consulting, which you can absolutely all do by linking the link at the bottom of the screen if you'd like to, and join my fine Patreon service where I can talk to you face to face behind the scenes about any questions or concerns you might have on aspects of health, nutrition, etc. Those things I'm expert in. Exercise, physiology, and performance is another field, or those kind of things. You can also, if you want to support what's going on here, you can super chat so long as YouTube allows you to do that. If it doesn't, refresh your browser a few times. It might let it work if it doesn't the first time around. You can also send me money directly to PayPal if you like. My PayPal address is just my email address, which you'll find on the About tab on the front page of my Fine YouTube channel. Or you can go to the Fine merchandise store and get yourself a Yellow Ted t-shirt or something like that, and then you'll be in uniform, and then you'll be off Master Chief Burgess's list of people who have to clean their heads or swab the deck or do the dusters after class or any of those menial sort of tasks, thus leaving Ted and I doing it ourselves. Again, just Ted and I. We're so lonely, poor little us. Oh, the other thing, of course, today with Pim not being here is there'll be much, much more singing, I suspect. There'll be much more singing. Right, I better catch up with the chat because otherwise we'll be doing a Harry and getting a long way behind, won't we? Yes, we will. Right, so hello to Christian. Hello to Jerome. Good to see you. Master Chief wants to know if anybody wants any toast. No toast. RFB321, happy birthday, young man. I can see you're a young man today. Good to see. Going strong, still kicking against the traces. Excellent. Very good. I presume this is a reference to the late Dr. Ray Peat, and we do agree with that. Yes, absolutely. Honey Fruity Boy is one of those who has fallen into that ideology, absolutely, without necessarily proclaiming that or saying that that's what he's done. He has, for example. Yep, absolutely. Good evening, Nick. Good to see you're in the house. Sav is also in the house. Good to see. Instructions from the Master Chief staff, right? Get yourselves into uniform. You can do that at the Fine merchandise store, which you'll find at the bit.ly bit.ly link, which is underneath the video here in the show notes, ready for your clicking pleasure. So hop to it, staff. Good. Do you have to put your shirt and shoes on? Well, you might look a bit funny standing in the Meat Militia rank and file without them on. I suggest no, madman. It's up to you, though, really. What do the other staff think? Should we have compulsory wearing of clothes during live streams, or is it okay to show up without your socks and shirt on? I don't know. Ask the Master Chief. He runs the ship in terms of that kind of stuff. Right. Yes, good point too there, Tracy. Thanks for pointing that out as well. If you do fail to hit the like button underneath this fine live stream, you may well suffer metabolic consequences. Studies show that the single largest cause of metabolic failure is not hitting the like button underneath my fine live streams. Absolutely true. Yes. Okay. There we go. I think that's the answer you were looking for. Yes, you bet. We want you to be clothed fully for rank and file Meat Militia meetings, even the camouflaged meetings such as this one. Right. What else is happening in the chat? Vicky's here. Good to see you, Vicky. Mark is here. Good to see you, Mark. Yes, indeed. Rest in peace. Jumping chat. Good. Just the thing. Right. This, and hello to Ted. Ted's a bit busy at the moment, though. He's twiddling my knobs. He's making the show roll today, because somebody has to. I don't know. Perhaps I should get a backup human co-host who is a bit more proactive about their role. I mean, Ted at the moment is just lying face down on the desk, frankly. Clearly he had a hard night. Didn't we all, frankly? But, goodness. Hello, Kitty. Good to see you. Yes, all right. And we have our first question for the day. Is it beneficial for an individual with hepatitis B to consume a carnivore diet? Yes, absolutely, I would suggest so. Hepatitis B is a viral issue, and any diet which lowers the systemic load and is of an appropriate nature for the species concerned, that being a human being, is a good thing and will help to predispose that human to the best possible outcomes. It's not a cure, obviously, for viral infection, but if you can lower your inflammatory load, if you can lower your plant toxin load, that will allow your immune system to concentrate on what it needs to a bit, and that will be a good thing, I would suggest. So yes, I would certainly suggest that a carnivorous diet for someone suffering from Hep B is not contraindicated. Certainly, and that's not medical advice by any stretch of the imagination. If I ever found myself in a situation of having Hep B, I certainly wouldn't change from a carnivore diet to anything different. No, I certainly wouldn't. Okay. Yes. Now, it's very tricky to keep up with where we're up to here. So if I do jump around all over the chat today, boys and girls, just understand that Ted's of no help whatsoever. And Auntie Pim is not here to keep the show rolling. So as such, you get what you're given and you'll fucking like it. Yes. All right. Forgot the Q on the front of the question there. Made it harder for me to find. But nonetheless, I found that one just because I did. All right. How would a vegan have a 0 CAC score? It's possible because a vegan lifestyle is just as good in terms of ameliorating the Randall cycle issue, the negative effects of the Randall cycle. And so someone who maybe is quite young and who goes on a vegan lifestyle and has a CAC score done in the first 3 to 5 years of being a vegan may well find that they have a 0 score. What they won't have is ongoing robust health and goodness of life experience, because that is a destitute diet and it will fail them and their health will fall apart. Absolutely. Yes, do remember, do not forget the Q in front of the questions. Makes them easier to find. Okay. Yes, everybody, that's a very, very good film by yours truly, this very, very bad bald man. Here on this fine, fine channel, I would suggest that everybody should study this 5 minutes or less video multiple times this week and apply to it. All 4 life hacks in your life, I would suggest, would be a good idea. If you're not already doing all 4, and I suggest you start doing that yesterday. These are 4 life hacks that have been put together specifically to discourage chronic systemic inflammation in your body, a very, very bad thing. And these 4 life hacks will encourage goodness of everything, robustitude, and all manner of stuff like that. Yes. Yes, indeed. Very good. Does beef have fiber? Well, no. No, it doesn't. There is no fiber in beef. No. Fiber is only available in plant-based materials. However, fiber is contraindicated in the human diet. It means don't do it. It's bad for you. It will mess up your colonic function. It's pro-inflammatory. It causes physical damage to your colon and other parts of your digestive system as it goes through as well. Really not good stuff. Really no benefits whatsoever at all in consuming fiber. You don't need to consume fiber. So the fact that meat contains no fiber is not problematic. It's a good thing. It's how we've evolved, eating no fiber, pretty much to speak of. Well, ancient humans did eat a small amount of fiber in the form of largely root-like small tubers, not like modern tubers that we've selectively bred for to be much richer in starch and much more edible. We're talking literally fibrous, rooty, gnarly, horrible things that early humans did eat some of. That was often done in order to subserve the continuation of life, really. It was a subsistence way of getting by when the hunt wasn't successful or meat couldn't be found or there weren't animals around or, whatever it was. Okay. Right. Again, I assume here a reference to the late Dr. Peat. He wrote a lot on endocrinology as well. Yeah. Just never go full Ray Peat cell. Full Ray Peat cell. Yes. Good. No, never go full Ray Peat. There was a good joke earlier, I forgot to bring it up on the screen, that there was a very, very clever double entendre by somebody, I can't remember who it was, who said that they were not in the habit of repeating themselves. Ha ha! Classic. Of course, that could mean, an allusion to repeating yourself, the double entendre, or the primary intent. You really ought not to follow the advice of Ray Peat if you want good, robust health and longevity, all else being equal. Okay. Good. Yes, the liver queen. Dear oh dear. Who's shocked? Who was shocked out of their trousers to learn that that clown was actually lying all along, as we knew he was, any of us with more than 3 brain cells and at least 1 eyeball, and could go, yes, is this a natty person? No, we're done. Anyway, it's come out. The truth always comes out eventually. It does a lot of damage, obviously, to the person himself, but also it puts a fairly big chink in the armor of Fruity Honey Boy as well, who's been linked with said charlatan, said liar, said promoter of such things. So that's just yet more damage to Paul's apparent lack of judgment, really. Really, I mean, anyone who still listens to Fruity Honey Salad Boy, that's Darwin in action, and you folks deserve what you get, frankly, and what you will not get by following his advice his good health long term. That will not be happening. Is sinew considered fibre? No, it's not. It's not considered fibrous at all. Fibre is complex arrangements of largely indigestible carbohydrate material, and sinew is made of protein. So, yeah, fair play. Okie dokie. All right. Question. Has anyone experienced less inflammation by consuming ghee instead of butter? Fair question. People can answer that at their discretion, I suppose. There's one answer already. Nope. Okay. 191 watching. Well, that's disappointing. We really ought to have more watchers than that. 65 likes. Even more disappointing, boys and girls. Ted will be getting out his truncheon, and as I speak now, I can see that he has stormed off to get his bucket of soapy frogs and the wetsuit with the bottom cut out of it. There will be late night visits from Yellow Ted for all people who do not whack the like button. Studies show that the single largest cause of late night visits from Yellow Ted with his truncheon is failure to hit the like button underneath my live streams. So make sure you get that done. Otherwise, you'll be on Master Chief Burgess's list, which he'll be passing off to Ted later. Right. Very good. Yes, maggots. Goodness me. What is going on in your area? What is happening on this deck, Master Chief Burgess? Who's running the show here, for goodness sake? It's neither me nor Ted this morning. It's a warm Sunday morning here in the early part of summer. We're 4 days into summer now, officially, here. I'm in the antipodes. Quite nice it is too, so I hope you appreciate the fact that I'm spending my sunny, warm Sunday morning with you folks to bring you the news of Ray Peat's passing and answer your questions, rather than to sit outside and drink coffee and ground and have sunlight and all of that kind of stuff. Show your appreciation, maggots. Right. Otherwise, there'll be no singing. We'll get to the singing. Don't worry. Okay. In the context of the carnivore diet, of course, with regard to the ghee butter question. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yes. How do you reduce your exposure to lead? And do you worry about dropping IQ points from lead? Lead isn't really apparently a huge issue. I, for one, don't tend to consume things that are known to have a high lead loading in them. And frankly, 1 or 2 IQ points, if I did lose 1 or 2, I think I could probably just about stand it, to be fair. Others? Share your thoughts. I don't know. Yes. What is the optimal fitness program for longevity? I would say, personally, that it seems to me that the most ideal training program for generalized health, fitness, and possibly longevity, who knows, would be a program consisting of half hour, 45 minutes of either resistance training, heavy resistance training that is, with high resistance, low reps, low sets, not high sets, and a whole body split 3-4 times a week, or high intensity burst repeat interval type training on as part of that program would be pretty ideal. That's how I would approach things personally. How to train for bike ultra race 2/3 zones or 2/3 zone or 5 in higher zones. Not sure exactly what your question is there, precisely because I don't know what kind of distance you're talking about, what kind of power output you would require to be outputting over that period of time to meet the time for that event that you would like to meet. I really need a lot more information than that before I could start making sensible comments about training. What I will say is that about all endurance style sports, I don't think they're a good idea. I don't think humans should be trying to undertake those. I don't think training for those events is a good thing for your health and longevity either. It's your choice to undertake those activities if you want to. I personally would not go anywhere near those particular events myself at all. But if you do want some input into training for a specific event, I will need a lot more information. Thank you. Appreciate that. Master Chief says, understands my pain. Yes. Every week I used to take pictures for my hockey team. I'd spend 3 hours each game taking 1,200 pictures or so, and then more than 8 hours to process them. Yes. Yes, indeed. It is a labor-intensive job. It's a labor of love to a large degree because of the income streams that I've managed to carve out for myself while being an online creator and influencer. The YouTube income is by far and away the smallest of those income streams. I keep doing it precisely because that's the way I get my face in front of people in order to build other income streams. And your support, boys and girls, in helping me to do that is vital. So please do consider, those of you that haven't already to some degree, or those who don't on a regular basis, do consider putting your hand in your pocket and actually helping, financially to keep the vibe of the show rolling, shall we say. Yes, right, good. No singing. Pim, get your ass in the room. Yes, well, Pim's busy doing other things, so she won't be here. And so we will do it our way, won't we, this week? And now, Pim is not here. And so you face much more singing. There you go. There's a start anyway. There'll be more singing later. My friends, see? I'll say it clear. I'll sing my songs without exception. Right. Okay, more questions. Hi from Indiana. That's not a question, but hi. Good to see you. George, thanks for dropping by. I guess when we're talking he today, I guess we're talking the late Dr. Ray Peat. Yes, he recommended a diet of easy-to-digest carbohydrates and animal products such as milk, cheese, eggs, low-starch fruit, meat, and fish that are not high in unsaturated fat. I've heard other things as well that Ray Peat used to say, which I disagreed with, along with those comments there, which I disagree with. Still, all right. Yes, Saladino, I've heard him talk about between 300 and 400 grams, Dave. That really is a monstrous amount of exogenous carbohydrate. And I have hitherto been saying at some point he will pay the price for that. I need to caveat that statement now by saying I watched a 1-minute short video by Ding Dong Dingalongadino, the bloke that we're talking about here, doing his reaction to the shocking, amazing, unbelievable news that the Liver Queen has been taking PEDs. Shock me. If you haven't seen that video, boys and girls, go and have a look at that video. It is absolutely clear. It is absolutely patent. There is no escaping the very, very real consequences of what Ding Dong Dino is doing. For a start, he's talking like this in his video, and I assume that before he started recording his video, he didn't just finish running a mile. It's incredible. And that's before you actually go, wow, ooh, and use your, and look at the thing and go, ooh. Anyway, I'll leave that for you to do. I'm not allowed to mention it here on the YouTubes. It's bullying, apparently, and we can't be thought of as bullying people, can we now? Right, good. Sub to the Meat Militia. Yes, do that. There's another YouTube channel, a separate YouTube channel, which I believe is about 30 hours short of the monetization threshold. When it gets there, I shall start posting videos up there again. I put a few up there to get it rolling and hopefully to kick it over the monetization threshold. It never really quite got there. It's been sitting there for quite some time. So I suggest if you want to see more Meat Militia, which is a great channel, that's where Yellow Ted actually is going to end up spending most of his time, frankly. Then you need to go and binge watch everything that's already on the Meat Militia channel to get that 30 hours of watch time done. And then there'll be more Meat Militia happening. Also, don't forget the Institute for Health Science Integrity is another fine YouTube channel. That's the one where it's all collar and tie, all professorial, no swearing or calling people names or any of that kind of stuff. So for the people that don't enjoy the swearing and cursing type persona and all of that, there is a channel hosted by me that is for you that doesn't have any of that stuff on it at all. So that's available there as well. All my fine channels are actually linked in the show notes underneath every one of my videos, including this one. So if you look under there, you'll find a wide variety of YouTube channels for your viewing pleasure. I've mentioned 3 of them. There's another couple as well, at least. One of which concerning the shape of our planet. And the other one is music and guitar and a bit of singing and stuff. If you like the singing, it's over there too. Very good. Right. Yes, hi from Indiana. Good, I think we've said hi to George earlier. But anyway, hello, George, again. Why not? Yeah, that's the fucking jumping the chat window thing where it decides it's going to just completely ignore where you're up to and go somewhere else. Really, really not happy with that at all. All right. Yes, indeed. That. More of that. More of that, indeed. There it is. Well, that's good. Now the chat window has decided it's not going to work either, perhaps. Ah, dear, oh dear. Harry's in the house. Good to see you, Harry. Good to see you. I don't know if Harry's doing a live stream or not today. If it's not, fine. If it is, Harry, if you'd like to post the link to your live stream in the chat window there, of course, and we'll bring that up if we ever get the chat window working again. At the moment, it's taken a shit and decided that we're stuck looking at George's hello from Indiana, which is, fine. There we go. Now it's kind of catch up with itself. And Harry says, hello, kitty. So, Harry, I presume you've caught the news. Ray Peat has died. We've already spoken about our disagreements that we've had with Ray Peat over the years. In other words, we disagree with basically everything Ray Peat has had to say on all topics at all times, pretty much, actually. And while that is so, we are acknowledging the passing of the man, and we're also doing Q&A, of course. Right. Let's see if I can find anything like where my actual place was. Right. Who's Ray Peat? Well, Ray Peat is a recently deceased researcher, I suppose, PhD in some aspect of human health, nutrition, biological function, who did a lot of work around bioenergetics, etc., and got absolutely pretty much everything he had to say in his career wrong on pretty much all topics of how a human should promote health and longevity. And unfortunately, he's passed his ideas on to a new generation of young Dunning-Kruger sufferers who have a stunning degree of arrogance. You've probably seen some of that already. Earlier in the year on this fine channel, we've dealt with some of those clowns already, and we'll continue to deal with those clowns, I guess, probably even more so now, because now that Ray has passed on, I suspect there'll be a huge resurgence now of all of this kind of nonsense put forward by Ray Peat, and if that's his legacy, that's unfortunate. Anyway, rest in peace, Ray Peat. And we'll move on. Good. Is microwaving harmful? I don't think so. Microwave radiation is non-ionizing radiation. It's not like you put something in a microwave and it becomes radioactive. That's really not what's happening. What's happening is the microwave is causing an energetic increase in the levels of energy that the electrons in the food substance have got. And as such, that's what makes things hotter. It's yeah. To say it's a nuking your food is a joke we used to always, I'm going to go and nuke this. And really, it's nothing remotely similar to that. No, I don't think microwaving is harmful, except if you microwave meat, it tends to destroy it. It tends to turn it into a tire type thing. It turns it rubbery, it destroys it, and it makes it smell funny, I think, anyway. That's for another day. Right, let's move on. Again, apologies for jumping around in the chat window because it's moving around by itself and there's just no way of keeping track of anywhere near where we're up to. So, there we go. Whatever. How long does oxalate dumping last? It can last years, Kitty, on and off. It'll come and go in fits and starts of random lengths of time where you'll be dumping. Then it'll go away and you think, oh, finally that's it, it's done. And then it comes steaming back again some months later for no really apparent reason. It really is. Oxalate is a nasty, nasty toxin that sticks around in your body for many, many years to some degree or another. So there we go. It's something with which, most of us can relate. So, yes, all right. Okay, I think we're somewhere near where we were up to before. Yes, Vicky says, please keep your clothes on. For that person that was asking whether clothes are compulsory for rank and file Meat Militia events. Yes, I think so. All right. Opinions on Terry Walls and Damien Armin. I don't know who Damien Armin is, so I can't really comment on Daniel Armin, sorry. Terry Walls is a person who reports having made good amelioration to her particular health problems using a diet containing a significant amount of plant material. I think she would be an exception rather than the rule. Plants are still contraindicated. They still contain vast amounts of plant toxins. They are still very, very bad for you, and you should still absolutely avoid plants at all costs. Caveat being, do not change to a diet containing no plants at all if you're currently eating some plants by changing that diet overnight. Don't just decide I'm going carnivore tomorrow and suddenly change your diet. Very, very bad mistake. Don't do that. Do a slow, progressive, stepwise, or rampwise, really, not stepwise, rampwise change to your diet over about a 6 weeks period to allow your microbiome to adjust and your body to adjust. You do not want to shock your body by changing your diet suddenly overnight. Very, very bad idea indeed. Right. Okay. Yes. Message from the Master Chief. Yes. Get the yellow Ted version. He's really the one in control. Yes. Ted is the one behind the scenes pulling all the levers and twiddling all my knobs. Yes. He really is. Aren't you, Ted? Absolutely in control.
Bollocks!
I don't know why I bothered to ask him. I really don't. He's incorrigible. I'm vegan. My hair has regrown. Good for you. Good for you. Your health won't last on a vegan diet. Sorry about that. It's destitute. Those are the facts. You'll find out sooner or later, and then you'll be back, and we'll welcome you with open arms and say, well, we did tell you. You weren't listening. All right. ABK has purchased some fine Cerule Night face cream. Yes. Cerule not only does oral supplementation products which encourage your inherent stem cell renewal and repair process in your body, but there is also a fine range of skincare products which encourage the stem cells under your skin to come up to the front layers and to become new skin cells and to make you look beautiful. So, warmly recommend the Cerule skincare products available by clicking on the bit.ly link in the show notes under this fine video. And then if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of that link out page, you'll find a link to my fine Cerule shopfront. So get yourself some night cream. It's great. It's awesome. It's very, very nice indeed. Thank you, General Luke of the Meat Militia. Just reminding you all that should you fail to hit the like button, there are metabolic consequences for doing so. Studies show that the single biggest cause of obesity and metabolic dysfunction is not hitting the like button, as do studies also show that not hitting the like button is the single biggest cause of late night visits from Yellow Ted with his truncheon and his bucket of soapy frogs and his wetsuit with the bottom cut out. You don't want that. Trust me. But it's much easier. Gets it done, you know. Right, what's next? Okay. Is fluoride in tap water something to be worried about? Yes, it is. Nasty stuff. It's a neurotoxin. I would use RO filtration as your go-to, personally. Not because it's the most effective necessarily, it's very, very effective, but because it's the most cost-effective and realistic methodology for most people. Or do like what me and Pim did, move out to a farm where all the water is sourced via a creek that runs down the back of the property. We don't have any municipal water at all. And what we do is we run that through an RO filter before we consume it, that portion of the water which we consume. It's great. Okay. I'd do that. If you can, move to a farm. It's awesome. Yes, it's Just Bo's in the house. Good to see you, Just Bo. Haven't seen you for ages. Where have you been hiding? Goodness me. You're in Animals here. Goodness. All sorts of people are here today. Haven't seen You're an Animal for a while either. Is it better to eat raw or cooked eggs? In my case, cooked, because raw, I react to them immediately, badly, every time. Some people can eat raw eggs. It's fine for them. There is a slight risk of bacterial problems. It's up to you. There's no huge difference in the nutritional profile or effectiveness of any of that. There's nothing to worry about with cooking meat and eggs and that kind of stuff. It doesn't destroy it like many people say. That's just rubbish. It's perfectly fine to eat all your food cooked. No problem at all. All right, is it accurate to say multiple sclerosis is caused from chronic inflammation? Might be a bit strong. There is definitely genetic predispositioning at play. Absolutely, definitely. It can be set off absolutely by inflammation, but you would need to be predisposed in the first instance. Other ways that you can perhaps have an effect over your multiple sclerosis or its expression or non-expression, the degree to which it's expressed, etc., would be things like eating a species-appropriate, species-specific diet. Very important that you do eat the correct diet. Take Cerule products would be a very, very good idea. That's not a therapeutic claim of any kind. Also, electrical grounding and earthing would be very handy, and I would probably avoid blue light after dark. Pretty much everything on that video, which has 4 life hacks on it. Yeah, so there's that. Excuse me for a minute, I have a frog in my throat. Goddamn frogs that Ted's been stuffing in there at night time. That's why you can't trust them. You don't want a late night visit from Ted at all. I can promise you, not a good thing. €6.66 there on the super chats. Appreciate those. We'll get to those in a minute. I'm not going to try and move around the super chat at the moment, but we will bring that up when it comes by the window. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Okie dokie. More questions. I had multiple sclerosis. Being carnivore reverses that stuff. Raw eggs as well. Great. I thought you were vegan and you grew your hair back. Which was it? Now we're confused, aren't we, boys and girls? Yes, get an RO system. RO is great. I fully recommend RO as a good way to filter water, tap water. Absolutely. A good effective RO system should get your ppm in the resulting clean water under 10 parts per million. So it's very, very pure once it's been through that filter. You can add electrolytes back in if you like, absolutely, if you feel you need to for any reason. But it gets rid of all the nasties pretty much, so that's a good thing. Yeah, tap water is crap. Absolutely. Yes, no shock, Re the liver dude. Absolutely, you take one look at the guy and you go, does he have that physique because he eats liver? No? Right, we're done here. Anyone that believed that for a second is obviously severely lacking in, everything. And I'm talking to you, Paul, because, Paul's making excuses, like in his video where he's talking like this. He says, I had my suspicions. Well, why did you get into bed with him then in business, Paul? Why did you involve yourself with him if you thought, here's a guy that's taking PEDs and claiming he's not? Did you not think what that would do for your, or do to your reputation such that it is already, Paul? Don't know. Anyway, it's your life, it's your funeral, whatever. Good. So, Harry says, hi, Tracy. I still haven't seen you a link to a live stream there, Harry. It's probably further down the chat. But do link it if you are live streaming today. Yes. Heather, good morning. You seem to be late for class. Please do report to the Master Chief after class. There are a number of details being run, including dusters, cleaning of heads, and swabbing of the decks and things for latecomers, frankly. But glad you're here. Do ask your lab partner for the notes for the earlier part of the session to make sure you didn't miss anything. Good. In other words, catch up yourself in your own time. We'll move on. Anyway, right. Lovely. Okay. Yes. Good morning from Ventura, California. Don't we wish they all could be California girls? No singing. All right. Much more singing today. Aiden says, hello, Ted. What does Ted have to say about that, do we think?
Bollocks!
Couldn't you have just said hello nicely or, something like that? I don't know. Right. Is fiber beneficial to gut microbiome? No. There is no evidence that is so. Any given makeup of one's diet will determine the likely makeup of that person's microbiome. Your microbiome adjusts over time to suit what you're feeding it over time. There are many, many perfectly healthful, perfectly balanced, perfectly peaceable arrangements of microbiota. What is a healthy gut microbiome? Well, it's one possessed by a person who is apparently healthy. It's not made up of certain different species. There's no such thing as good and bad bacteria in the gut. These are all ridiculous ideological, anti-scientific ideas that are put forward by various charlatans. So, no, fiber is not a benefit to anything. Actually, it's a detriment. If anything, the evidence that we have, such that we have it, suggests quite clearly that fiber is detrimental and should be avoided at all times. YouTube fuckery is still going on. Yes, I suspect it is. Wes, are you unable to super chat? Is that what the problem is? Anyone who is unable to super chat, refresh your browser several times, 3 or 4, 5 times sometimes, and it'll start to work. Usually, if it really is not going to work, you can send funds directly to my PayPal account. Obviously, it won't come up on the screen during the live stream presentation, but we will appreciate those funds just as much as any other funds. More so, perhaps even, because we won't have to pay quite so much commission on those funds that we have to pay to YouTube. And we'll put those funds to good use in making more videos, keeping the lights on, paying the electricity bill, and all of that kind of stuff. So, yes, thanks for that. Alrighty. Yes. Yes. Time for a cup. Yes, I have my cup here. My cup of caffeinated beverage with heavy cream and nothing else. Just, water, coffee, cream. Delicious. Okay. Scanning the chat. He's didn't answer my question because he's scared. Did you ask a question? I didn't see it, frankly. If you want to ask your question again, Mahmood, that's fine. You can ask your question again. And so long as it's reasonable, sensible, and respectful, it will be answered. Yeah. Okay. Or you might be talking about somebody else not answering your question in some context. I don't know. I can't sit through and read every single chat in the chat window, boys and girls, live while I'm trying to run the show. Keep Ted under control and make sure that he's twiddling all my knobs in the right way. Yes, Ted. Oh, yes, Ted. Right. Excuse me. All right. If the Randall cycle has locked GLUT4 in many cells, okay, that would be an extreme activation, and insulin won't get glucose into those cells, yeah. Why does insulin go up? Because your body keeps pushing harder and harder and harder to try and get the insulin up to a level where there is enough insulin to push it through. All of these locking mechanisms that we're talking about, none of them are absolute on and offs. They're all sliding scale things. So if there is a sense that you need to produce more insulin because the blood glucose is not dropping, then it will start to build up for that reason. I hope that makes sense. Yes, right. Okay. Yes, fair enough, Wes. Can't disagree with that. It really is pretty yucky. And there's no benefit to eating plants. Why would you do that? Agreed. But you don't eat that. Well, you can eat it. Actually, there are ways of eating it, which is probably more healthy than smoking it, to be fair. Perhaps that's the one plant material that you're okay eating a bit of here and there. Maybe. I don't know. It's just a preference. It's still got toxins and fiber and nonsense in it. And you're not actually going to eat a sufficient quantity of weed to be classed as this is how much you would eat if you were eating plant for food. So it's probably okay, I think. Good. All right. Fruits unequivocally proven bad even in moderation. Nope, nothing is unequivocally proven in human nutrition whatsoever in terms of hard health outcomes over multiple decades, Sarah. Nothing at all. There is no nutrition science in existence. There are only intimations, implications, hints and allegations. Paul Simon song starting to come into my head for some reason. Looks like another $5 there from it looks like Dev. Thanks very much, Dev. We'll get to that when we get to it. Appreciate the $5 very much, by the way. What was I talking about? Fruits. Yeah. Look, it's up to you. Fructose is definitely one of the worst carbohydrates you can consume. Absolutely. Fruit contains fiber, which is absolutely contraindicated in my mind. Yes. We believe that fructose is somewhere between 7 and 12 times more glycating than glucose is even. So that's a very, very serious issue. Now, also, here's another bit of breaking news for you. I had an email missive from Ken Berry a few days ago, and he asked me to look into something and get back to him, which I did. And I was even surprised by the answer myself that I got back to him with. he's making a video on that. He tells me that will be posted in the next few days or so. And we'll look forward to that. Basically, what it boils down to is that the HbA1c test for glycative damage to red cells, etc., is almost entirely insensitive to cells glycated with either fructose or galactose. It only specifically reads glucose effectively or well. So you might get an A1C that looks perfectly fine, but if you're, stuffing 300 or 400 grams of honey and fruit down your neck every stupid day of your stupid fucking life, Paul, you might be in real fucking trouble, son, because the A1C test will not fucking show that. Whoops. Anyway, that's for in a few days on Dr. Ken Berry's Fine channel. And it was a pleasure to do that little bit of research for you, Ken. Good. Right, so that was that. Where are we up to? So for heavy metals, says Lucas, eat animal foods. Yep. We need sulfur amino acids to detox metals. Cool. Selenides will chelate them, and these are abundant in meats. Yes. Cool. Also, if you're looking for taurine would be a good idea as well, wouldn't it? Because taurine has sulfur. Taurine. No singing. Yes, right. Coffee is dried vegetable meat. Okay. If you say so. Is 100-mile ultra racing a good idea? If you mean running, no. Absolutely not. Swimming? No. Absolutely not. Cycling? Maybe. Okay. Right. Scanning. Talk amongst yourselves momentarily. Scanning. There we go. What is the best abdominal workout? Well, Vicky, for most people, the one that you'll do. To be honest with you, there are all sorts of, this one is the absolute best ab workout. This one will tear your abs up in 3 seconds flat. This one will cave you in seconds. This one takes 10 minutes. You can do a search on the interwebs and find all sorts of people suggesting all sorts of things for ab workouts. But frankly, for most people, a great ab workout is one you will do. Find one that you can enjoy. Find one that you will do. If you're at all worried about making sure your form is correct and that you're not likely to injure yourself or whatever, get together with a personal trainer that can help you with the form to make sure that you don't likely injure yourself. Yep. Also, anyone that hasn't exercised for quite some time should probably consult with somebody duly qualified to advise them on whether or not they should be exercising and how. Yes, good. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't see a question from Mahmood either, Tracy, so whatevs. Certainly not afraid to answer anybody's questions. Anybody that wants to ask a question, so long as it's reasonable, rational, respectful, you'll get an answer. It might not be the one you want, but you will get an answer. If, of course, you are disrespectful, irrational, unreasonable, then you probably will just get ignored or even deleted, depending on how offensive you were. Because there are only 3 people allowed to be offensive here. So, there it is. Yes, and China did it her way. No singing. Sheena, I can never remember. I think it's Sheena. I think you told me it was Sheena, but I forgot. Yes, I used to sing quite a bit, Dave. In fact, I was a singer before I was really anything else. I kind of didn't. I mean, the guitar playing was kind of secondary in my mind, anyway. Yes, I've been a singer all my life, really. And those that want to hear me actually seriously singing, not just being a silly bugger on the interwebs, there is at least one example of a very badly produced live recording of me singing in a band situation on one of my other channels that you might find if you sub to all my channels and binge watch all that material, if you're interested in that. If not, if like Pimmets, no singing, then you won't. But otherwise, you'll go and find it. All right. Ray Peat was an example of who not to listen to when it comes to physiology or hard nutritional research. Yes, agreed, Wes, absolutely. Again, for those who missed the earlier part of the show or missed the news on the thumbnail, Ray Peat has passed away, and we are acknowledging that today, among other things, among doing the questions and answers. We won't be at all shying away from the fact that we do not agree on this channel with almost anything Ray Peat had to say in his life on any topic whatsoever. But nonetheless, we still pay the due respects, I guess, and we suggest that Ray should rest in peace and all of that kind of stuff. Absolutely. But nonetheless, he was wrong throughout his life on everything he spoke publicly about with regard to physiology, hard nutritional health, any of it. He had some frankly ludicrous ideas about everything, really. And unfortunately, he's passed those ideas on to a new generation who are now arrogantly espousing those ideas with the most stunning Dunning-Kruger that I've ever seen, frankly. And you can find examples of that on my fine channel. And I've dealt with these clowns several weeks ago, really, or several months ago it was, maybe. Time flies when you're having fun, isn't it? Why aren't carbs healthy? Well, you need to binge watch all my videos here on the YouTubes. You will also find more than 1,100 historical videos that I made previously, which are still good videos. They're just no longer available on YouTube's, and you'll find them on that other platform that you might have to take an odyssey of discovery to find. But if you undertook such an odyssey, I'm sure you will find where those videos are reposited. Somewhere on Odyssey, perhaps. That's where you might find those things, and you can watch through all of those. By the end of that, you'll know absolutely why carbs are not good. And if that's not enough, you can watch everything by Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Ken Berry, and a bunch of other people who are quite sensible on this topic as well. I can't sit here and think of everybody that I should promote. There are so many of them, frankly. The Steak and Butter Gang, they're good. Awesome, of course. Yeah, right. How old was Ray? Ray was 86. No, he did seem to potentially have some quite serious health concerns in the latter, well, at least decade of his life, perhaps decade and a half. Absolutely. That's not anything but an observation on how things appeared to be in terms of his health. Who knows? Anyway, rest in peace, old fella. Oh, good one. You'll need to report to the Master Chief after class for whatever detail he deems appropriate for your level of lateness. For those that want to see it, I did a really enjoyable chat / interview with Rob very, very recently, and you'll find that on Rob's channel. Pretty much. It's good. You should go and check it out. We might do another one. Yes, I'm sure we will. Fucking hell, chat jumping again. Motherfucker. That's really, really annoying. Are oxalates more harmful than heating food in a microwave? Yes. Yes, they are, without any question. Yes. Once again, Mahmood, we have not seen a question from you in the chat. Not at all. You're not being ignored. You're not being seen. You may be falling foul of the YouTube fuckery. YouTube decides often to just delete things as part of the fuckery that's imposed upon my channel by the YouTubes. You might be falling foul of that. There may also be one or two catch words that YouTube doesn't want you to use, and as such, if you use that word in your comment, they'll ping it. Nothing we can do about it. It is out with our control. Hola, meaty peeps. Yes, meaty pops, meaty peeps, whatever. Okay. All right, let's get to the super chat action anyway. So the earlier super chat we had there was from, I can't even read that. Well, it says it's so small. Six side. Very good. €6.66. Appreciate those very much. Excellent. Right. Any recommendations for meat providers? Well, no, this is an international program for an international audience. There are all sorts of suppliers all around the world. Some are good and some are not. Yep, no one's seeing any questions from you, Mahmood. Okay. Maybe try and rephrase. Or if you're being offensive, maybe try not being offensive. Up to you. Thoughts on Peter Attia? Peter is one of these characters who has a lot of things that he says right, but unfortunately the stuff that he's got right is interspersed by a huge proportion of stuff that he's got wrong, completely wrong. He's also one of these blokes that has the kind of ego that leads him to believe that he's an expert in all matters of all things. He doesn't have a lane. That's a mistake, Peter. You do have a lane, you do have an area of expertise, and it does have its limits. And you are constantly outside of the area of your expertise, and you are constantly saying things publicly that are wrong, demonstrably wrong. And I think that's very, very bad. Very bad indeed. That's my thoughts on Peter Attia. Right. Okay. This Ray Peat guy promoted sugar or carbs. Yes, he did. But no more. His acolytes will continue in his stead to do so, though, I expect. So there may well be another resurgence around Ray Peat's death that attends that things that people did during their life suddenly become more popular when they die. So there may well be, yet another resurgence of it that we will have to deal with. Yes. Again, just confirmation there for you, Mahmood. Ain't nobody seeing your stuff, Polly. All right? Ain't nobody seeing it. Yes, don't forget to put a Q in front of your question. Haven't seen a question from you either, Nick. Okay, does chronic stress permanently lower IQ? Yes, it possibly can. What are the worst potential consequences of chronic stress? Death. Basically. Okie dokie. Sophie, late to class. Lovely. Late to class. You know what happens if you're late to class, don't you? You have to report to the Master Chief to bang the dusters afterwards or something. Anyway, good to see you. Glad you're here. Scanning for questions. Yes, I should think so. Don't think he'll go light on you either. He won't. He runs a tight ship, does Master Chief Burgess. Okay. Wes is complaining about the membership bullshit again. Yeah, often people are actually unsubbed from my channel, from being members of my channel by YouTube unilaterally without the knowledge of the card holder, without the knowledge of the person who is a member of my channel. They are being unmembered. Excellent. Good work, YouTube. Perhaps, folks, you might consider joining my Patreon. You can join over there. Just as good for me. That would be awesome. You can find a link to that under the bit.ly link underneath this fine video in the show notes. Yes. Why would eating liver, specifically beef liver, be bad for my health? Several potential reasons. The level of copper in liver tissue is vastly higher than what you want. It will almost certainly throw out your electrolyte balances and various aspects of things and can cause some quite serious toxicity issues in that regard. Secondly, there is always the potential for retinol vitamin A toxicity. Maybe. That's more iffy. They're the main sort of things to look out for. There are toxicity issues with eating a huge amount of liver. A small amount of liver won't do you any harm. There are people that are promoting far too much of it, though. Far too much of it. And they're also generally the sort of people who also promote all sorts of stupid behavior, like pouring hundreds and hundreds of grams of carbohydrates down your stupid fucking neck. Well, it's Darwin in action. If you want to listen to those people, you go ahead and do that. Think of it this way. How much of an animal, proportionately, is liver? Ergo, that's the proportion, if you must eat liver, that you should stay under in your eating. Simple, really. Okay. Okay. Shout out to anti-anime. Okay. Don't even know what that's about at all. Yes. Ted does say that you should hit the like button. Absolutely. Yes.
What, are you retarded?
Keep up the good work. Love from South Africa. Awesome. I will keep up the good work. I'm glad you're here. It must be a crazy time of the day for you in South Africa to be viewing the show. It will not be ideal for you at all. No. Anyway, welcome. Glad you're here. Very glad you're here. How does carnivore allow for optimal collagen synthesis with its low amount of vitamin C? Well, it turns out the amount of vitamin C that's in a carnivore diet is sufficient for all purposes. And the reason that it's sufficient is because vitamin C is not being outcompeted for access to the cells by glucose, because the transporter for vitamin C is the same one as for glucose. It's GLUT4. And if you remove all the glucose containing things from your diet, that frees that transporter up to much more effectively move a much lower concentration of vitamin C into the cells, thus allowing them to do what they need to do. So there you go. Cool bananas. Dev, there's Dev with his $5 super chat that I mentioned earlier. Thanks for that, Dev. Appreciate it very much. Right. So, John, you'll have to join Sophie after class, won't you? For dusters and things, whatever it is. Yeah. Right. 2 squids. Appreciate them. They'll keep the lights on for just that little bit longer, John. Appreciate it very much. Thanks. Yes. Scanning. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so Kyle Hunt clearly hasn't been around the channel much, hasn't seen any of the videos that I've put together, or is in some way vastly, grossly, hugely deluded. No, Kyle, carbs are not the best type of food whatsoever. For human beings, they are basically contraindicated. In fact, exogenous carbohydrates are totally unnecessary and indeed contraindicated in the human diet. The appropriate diet for a human being is obligate hypercarnivore, which you'll find is very, very low in carbohydrates, in fact. So there we go. Correction to Kyle Hunt. Wrong, Kyle. Completely wrong. Sorry about that. Well, not really. They're just the facts. That's what it is. What blood tests are useful on the carnivore diet? Almost none, really. The only time I would ever suggest blood testing of any kind is if I suspect there is a specific problem with a person around kidney function, liver function, thyroid function, or any of those kind of things, in which case I would ask for that specific test and that test alone. But basically, routine blood testing is nonsense. It's a waste of time. You won't get any useful information from doing that at all. Okay. I need to lose 5 kgs, but for the last 12 months I have been stalled. I've tried higher fat and narrowing eating window. I am carnivore. Very rarely cheat. Small amount of dairy. Any suggestions? Yes, you can subscribe to my Patreon consultation service. You can do that at the bit.ly link underneath this video, and then I'll sit down with you one-on-one and tailor a program to get you through this problem. Basically, that's how that works. Not far off 1 million views. Actually, my channel, since it started 4.5, nearly 5 years ago, has had something like 8 or 9 million views across time, just so people know. But thanks, Jonathan, for the noticing of the growth of the current batch of videos in terms of their viewer numbers. It's good. Can glucose be converted into fructose? The human metabolic system only metabolizes fructose directly to triacylglyceride, so there's not a way the body can use fructose in any other way, and so the body wouldn't be transmuting into something it can't use. So the answer to that would be no, absolutely not. Okay. $2.79 Canadian pesos. Appreciate those very much. Thank you very much for the super chat. For a S. No comment, but we'll take your $2.79 and we will buy some electricity with it. Yes, we shall. Okay. Cool down question to better know the man behind the bald head. What podcast, books, shows, media are you currently into? I watch an hour or so, maybe every evening, of whatever we're watching on Netflix. We'll binge watch something from start to finish and then move on to the next thing. I enjoy fantasy type stuff, period pieces, science fiction, that kind of thing. That's what we're into. We don't certainly watch normal television. We don't watch the news, anything like that. In terms of podcast, reading of books, all that kind of stuff, I really don't have as much time as I would like to do that kind of stuff most of the time, because most of the time I'm working, as it turns out, usually 70 hours a week plus to keep this enterprise, the YouTube phenomenon that is this channel, going. And as such, usually I'm pretty fucked by the end of that, and I just don't have the mental or emotional capacity for any of that kind of stuff. So I usually will just go and just blob or sleep or eat or whatever. And then it's up the next day for the next Who's Wrong on the Interwebs video, and the whole treadmill starts again. So that's been my life for the last year or two, really. All right. Didn't earlier tests for A1C use mass spectrometry or the like, so that the weight of hemoglobin molecules fell into certain values? I believe it did. Early on, yep. I believe it did. Okay. Apparently you need glutamine to replenish glycogen stores, ? Your body's capable of replenishing your glycogen stores without much help from you, frankly. So, whether or not it's particularly helpful, who knows? I haven't seen any paper that would encourage me to believe absolutely that it is. Don't know. Okay, what's the point of that question anyway? Not sure what question you mean there, Lucas. I feel like it's slander attempt by saying, lols, this man thinks vegetable toxins are worse than radiation. Well, that would only be true if food that comes out of a microwave was radioactive. It fucking isn't. You moron. Not you, Lucas, whoever it is that you're referring to. Before you want to slag me off, you dumb motherfucker, maybe get a clue, any fucking clue about anything whatsoever. How about that? And while you're at it, how about fuck right off? And if, General Lucas, if you'd like to help that person fuck right off for us, that'd be great in the background. You can assist that person, show them where the door is. They can fuck right off, frankly. I'm sick of the fucking disrespect here from morons who think they know more about stuff than me that there's no fucking way in the world they possibly could. All right, there we go. Nathan, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed it very much talking with Rob. He's a gentleman and a scholar. He's a great man. $5 Australian. I shall use those to good effect. Probably more electricity. The other thing you need to realize is the expense of the electricity on running this computer system and stuff all the time. Wow. That's for another day, though. Okay. Thoughts about use of vinegar on the carnivore diet? Meh. I've never found it useful myself for anything in particular. There's no need for vinegar in the human diet. Yes. Fruit folks claim metabolic tracer studies show majority of fructose is handled all by the intestines, and thus fructose doesn't make it to the liver bloodstream and thus has no damaging effects. Well, that's absolute nonsense. You show me one of those studies, Bob, and I'll show you what's wrong with it, frankly. Because all of those studies will be as flawed as fuck. They'll be hopeless. All right. All right. Talking about someone that's really, really hot. I don't know who's really, really hot. Whatever. Any thoughts on raw honey? Yes, it's contraindicated in the human diet. There's no place in the diet for honey. Why would you take in honey? It's sugar. Got no idea what's going on in the chat here. Some very strange comments. Very strange comments, boys and girls. Goodness me. Okay. Should I worry for having a CAC score of 304.4? Been on carnivore for the last year since having a CAC test done. Give it 5 years at least before you even think about getting another one done. This is not a 5-minute fix. It's a long process getting calcium either in or out of your coronary arteries, frankly. So yeah, come back in 5 years with that. Yeah, we know Saladino eats honey. We know. Doesn't seem to be doing him any good at all. Does Paul Mason's HDL to triglyceride formula have any utility? I don't believe so personally. Except possibly in that it might be a better predictor associated with various health outcomes than some of the standard ones that are being used. Nonetheless, it's not cause and effect. And as such, utility might be strong, too strong. It's a marker. And as such, meh. Okay. Sure. Okay. Fine. Helps cook a mean corned beef, if you like. I don't do much cooking, Tracy, so I wouldn't know about such things. Right. So clearly, Sebi seems to be talking about some girlfriend or something that he's having difficulty with or something. I don't know. Fine. All right. I am at the bottom of the chat window. We have been going for an hour and a half or so, which is, a goodly period of time. If you would like the stream to continue for another 20 minutes, half an hour or so, you'll need to get your questions in right now. And you'll probably need to put a small super chat in front of those if you want to make sure yours float to the top, because I will be closing off the session in half an hour or less, just so you know. It is a very difficult and tiring task, I should tell you, to run one of these sessions by yourself without any fucking help at all from Yellow Ted or anybody else around here. It's difficult. It's definitely a two-person job, I think, to do what we do the way we do it. All right, so question from Bob. Statins and Alzheimer's, dementia, should we be worried? Yeah, I would be. Absolutely. It's one of the myriad of reasons that I would not consider under any circumstances touching a statin with a barge pole as long as I live for any reason. Statins are absolutely, utterly contraindicated, dangerous metabolic poisons, and we should not go anywhere near them. That's my opinion. Doesn't have to be anybody else's, but it's based on my understanding of what statins are and how they work. Okay, question from Jonathan. Been low carb 4 or 5 months, first blood test ever last week, and HDL, blah, 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 blah. Do I need more testing? No, you need no testing whatsoever. None at all. Testing is a waste of time, and certainly testing of your lipids is a waste of time. That will not inform you on any aspect of your likelihood to either experience or not experience any health outcome, good or bad of any kind, either way whatsoever. They are completely unrelated in causality. It's utter nonsense. You've been taken in, you've been fooled. Sorry about that. Now you've been schooled. Now you've been told. Blood testing, waste of time. Lipids, don't worry about it. It's under the control of your genes. Your genes really know what they are doing. All right. Okie dokie dokie. Views on Jordan Peterson's diet and him educating people on nutrition. I'm quite happy with the idea, so long as he's still promoting a largely, if not completely, carnivorous diet. I think that's a good thing. I'm not sure he's educating people on nutrition, really. That's not really what Jordan Peterson's about. I'm not quite sure where you get the idea that he's doing that from. Jordan Peterson is a psychologist. That's what he is. And he kind of talks about all sorts of aspects of life from that point of view. As far as I'm aware, I've never seen him actually purport to be a nutritional expert, because he's not. So there's that. Okay, Charlie. What have you got to say, Charlie? We'll have to wait for the chat window to catch up because it's having another shit. There it is. No, it's not. That's what we're after. Rich, good to see you. Have a great day. I will. Thank you very much, Rich. Appreciate the 10 Pacific pesos, the 10 New Zealand dollars, and they will be used to good effect as well. Harry, are you streaming today or not? Are you still here even? I don't know. I'm still unclear as to whether Harry's streaming today or Harry isn't streaming today. Okay. All right. Due to calculations of 2 pounds per lean body mass of 147 pounds, don't know what that means. How do I consume that much per day? I've got no idea what you're talking about there, sorry. Maybe try again. Right, good. More jumping chat. Fucking. If at all acceptable, I may be available to be your assistant when Queen Pim isn't around. Okay, cool. Good to know, Lukey. Good to know. Yes. Okay. I will. I'll be in touch in the background. With you will have to be bronze and you will have to be oiled before the show. Ted will do the oiling and the bronzing and stuff. Yes. Sounds good. Does too much protein cause a spike in natural oxalate production? No. Why would it? Oxalate comes from plant materials, not from proteins. Okay. Watching Harry's playlist after this. Good. Harry, sir. Indeed. Okay, that's an opinion. Fine. You're welcome to it. Douchebag or lame? Who is more destitute of scientific knowledge? Douchebag any day of the week. Lame's just an idiot with an ego problem. Douchebag is not only an idiot with an ego problem, but he's an ignorant idiot with an ego problem, and he's an evil, vile, despicable piece of shit from top to tail. Lame is just offensive, but douchebag is offensive on a whole new level all by himself. Right, $2. Thank you very much. Appreciate those $2 very much, and we'll put those together with the other ones, and together collectively they'll do something useful. I'm sure they will. And $5 from ABK. Thank you. Yes, and fuck you, Ted. Indeed. Good. Yes. James, California, asked question about 3-day fast in Super Chat and donate $5 for that question. Missed it completely. Perhaps ask that question again, James, California. And I'll try and get to it. Sorry, it's a real hard task to run this by yourself. Question from Hura S. How diet affect TSH and T3? Positively, if you eat the right diet. A species-appropriate, species-specific diet tends to be associated with an improvement in all aspects of things. Okie dokie. Oh, for fuck's sake, I really hate this fucking chat. I really, really hate it. Drives me up the fucking wall. Right, okay. Spotted, Rich. Spotted. Sneaking in. The Master Chief has spotted you. All right. You're on the list. All right. What do we have? Some very fine Danish Kronor. Yes. Appreciate those very much. We like Danish Kronor. Yes, we do. Harry is not streaming today. There you go. You heard it here first. Unless you didn't, in which case you heard it somewhere else first. Whatever. I read somewhere years ago that carnosine can bind to heavy metals ions. Is that true? Yes. Yes. Can I guess your IQ? I don't know. Can you guess my IQ? I presume you're talking to me. My question was, levoxytyrone, any use? Depends case by case. That's really the sort of thing that we would need to cover in a private consultancy session, which you could organise with me if you wanted to, using the bit.ly link underneath this video in the show notes, and join the Patreon subscriber service for consultancies, and then we will be able to book in a session and you can talk to me about all aspects of thyroid function, really, and we can try and untease whatever issues you might have to the best of our ability, none of which will be medical advice, of course. Right. Sunlight and eye health. Is sunlight good for the eyes? Yes, so long as it's not direct sunlight. If not, would the sun do permanent damage? If it's direct sunlight, it absolutely can, yes. Yep. If you're on a inappropriate species in specific diet, then it's likely that all sorts of damage that would otherwise not occur might, including damage to your eyes. Yeah, cool. Okie dokie. Right, due to calculations of 2 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass of 147 pounds, how do I consume that much protein per day? Right. Well, what you would do is you would take 2 grams per pound of ideal body mass, and then what you would do is multiply that number by about 4 for a weight of meat raw, because meat is mostly water. Pretty much. That's how you do it. All right, good. Is there any marker that can give an understanding of cardiovascular disease risk? Yes, the CAC score. Yeah. A lot of talk in the background about Dr. Jordan Peterson. People have their opinions and they're welcome to them. Whatever. Opinions, of course, are like assholes, aren't they? Almost everybody's got one. Mostly they're full of shit. Scanning for questions. I want to make a change to my diet and then assess the effects of that change. How, if not with blood tests? Well, how do you feel? How's your energy? How's your body composition? How's your skin? How are your nails? Etc., etc., etc. Pretty much. There's nothing in a blood test that will give you useful information. Nothing at all. Okay. Get some blood tests done if you like. Absolutely. It won't inform you on anything of any value, probably. Right. Okay, so we are once again at the bottom of the available chats and questions and things. I think it's a good time to close off anyway, because that's long enough and people have had a shot at getting their questions in, so that's good. yes, so ongoingly for the next, week or couple of weeks. I'm not sure yet. It just depends on how long until I find my energies returning or my desire to do YouTube videos returning. I am taking a break from making daily YouTube videos. You've probably noticed. I am taking a break from doing Who's Wrong on the Interwebs and all of that kind of stuff. I am having a bit of a holiday, if you like, a bit of a rest and recuperate. I think it's well deserved. I will still be doing live streams, probably on a weekly basis on a Sunday, just to, stay in touch and all of that sort of stuff. I don't want you to miss me too much while I'm resting and recuperating, so I will be available for these sessions. Make sure you're here. Make sure you bring your credit cards. Make sure you make it worth my while to do these sessions, and I'll keep doing them whenever I'm having a rest and a recuperate from making YouTube videos on a daily basis. And then, possibly come the new year, we'll be back on again with full gusto and full energy and full noise, doing the things that we've always done. And whether we do them the same way or slightly differently, we'll have to think about as well. It is a moving feast a bit in terms of some of the YouTube rules and the way they're looking at those rules and what you can do and what you can't do, etc. So, I like to ride right up to the line without going over the line as far as I'm aware. If the line keeps moving further and further to the left, shall we say, then the way I present myself will have to continue to be watered down more and more so as time goes by. If you don't like that, and if you'd rather be able to see me say whatever I feel like saying whenever I feel like saying it, perhaps you might subscribe to that other social media platform that is a repository for videos that you will find all my stuff on. And if you're not sure where that is, just take an odyssey of discovery and you'll find it. Pretty much. That's all you need to do. In the meantime, once again, we acknowledge the passing of Dr. Ray Peat last week, by the sounds of it. The news is just sort of filtering through now. Ray Peat was 86. He was a pioneer and a researcher in the field of, nutrition and bioenergetics and stuff. And almost everything he ever said on every topic was completely wrong, false, misleading. And now there's a whole new generation of folks espousing the same nonsense. They're called bioenergetics people, I think they call themselves, or I don't know, I don't really care what they call themselves. They're Ray Peat acolytes, basically, and they're wrong too. So we'll continue to deal with it. So if that's Ray's legacy that he leaves behind, well, that's unfortunate. That's sad, but nonetheless, it's an important task to put people right where they're wrong out there who are misguiding people with false, contraindicated, dangerous misinformation. So there we go. Rest in peace, Ray Peat. And hopefully in the next few years we can put to rest some of his false ideology as well. In the meantime, see you same bat time, same bat channel next week. If not sooner, there may well be a few videos that show up here and there if I feel like making them. But anyway, thanks for your attendance today. Thanks for your support. And all that remains, of course, is for a singing of our very fine national anthem here in the Meat Militia. So, those of you who are in uniform need to be upstanding and saluting if you're able. And those of you who are not in uniform just need to be upstanding if you're able. 2, 3, 4. Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. We got it. Right. Thank you very much. Join me next week for more of the same, only different, hopefully. Maybe my moods question comes through by then. Who knows? See you then.